Hey, what's the deal, everybody? It's BDF44. So I want to address Stephen A's comments on Colin Kaepernick and the little I saw from the interview with T.O. I didn't see the whole thing yet. I just wanted to stop and just kind of zero in on a few things that I thought. First of all, Stephen A. Smith, I have a lot of respect for Stephen A. Smith as it pertains to him working very hard to become one of the leading faces in sports analysts in that field, a field that I've appreciated for a very long time, something that I've wanted to be a part of for a very long time. So he is the face of that at this point, and he's worked very hard to get there. And one of the ways that he's gotten his platform is to, um, you know, toe the company line, and he calls himself a self-proclaimed um, capitalist. He puts the money first. He understands that money is what makes this world spin, more or less, in terms of how people maneuver and what they respect and things of that nature. From his point of view, money comes first. Um, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have faith. It doesn't mean that he doesn't believe in his people. It just means that he believes that the best strategy for black people to succeed in this world and in this country is to gain as much capital as they can. And in order to do that, in his mind, you have to um, work. And in working, there are going to be rules you have to follow, and recognizing who your bosses are, and those bosses often are not going to be black. That's his point of view as I see it. I don't share his point of view, but I haven't reached this level of success, nor do I have the means of telling him what success is based on that. So I cannot dispute what he's saying. I can only say that I have a different point of view from my perspective. Money doesn't come first for me. Um, I've been in situations where I've been around people with money for a long time, and I've been around people who've had power for at different stages in my life, and I understand that money doesn't bring happiness, nor does it bring a self-validation. Um, you know, it doesn't make you doesn't give you a peaceful home, doesn't give you a place in your mind that means that you're going to be at peace with yourself or your heart. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means that you have the means of being able to buy certain things and influence certain things depending on how much money you have, and give yourself a sense of security and your family a sense of security, which is very important, especially in a world the world that we're in. But make no mistake about it, when you're talking about trying to figure out what's best for our people, from my point of view, what's best for our people is understanding that first we do need to have money, but we also have to know how to spend it properly. But we also have to have our morals first, because when you're dealing with institutionalized racism and power struggles and supremacy issues and things of that nature, the different divides of this nation that we have, um, money isn't enough. Money isn't enough. You can still be used as a pawn. Just because you have money doesn't necessarily mean you can't be bought. In some cases, you have to have your morals, you have to have your principles, and you have to have a sense of faith in yourself and in whoever it is that you're backing, your people. If you're a black person and you're thinking of it this way, then it's going to be faith in your people, faith in your culture, and the respect, self-respect that comes with going forward, whether you have funds or not. Not everybody's going to be in a position to work hard. They're not going to have that gene that's going to make them work hard. But does that mean they shouldn't be treated properly? Not everybody's going to be from a space where they can say they've lived in a privileged situation. They don't have the knowledge or the experiences that can give them an opportunity to work among certain people. I have the ability to speak a certain way. So when I stand in the presence of people who are not like me, and they understand English, I can speak English. But what if I was from somewhere where my dialect didn't allow me to be respected the same way? It would take a certain level of open-mindedness for people to respect me because of how I speak. Then what? You can't ignore those people if they happen to be of your same skin color just because they don't speak a certain way or because they're not able to articulate themselves as you do. I guess my point of view is this. When it comes to this Colin Kaepernick thing, people are finally, putting Stephen A's quote-unquote blackness on the forefront. Max Kellerman has basically come to the defense of Colin Kaepernick in regards to this particular subject, in regards to his workout and how he's handled the NFL workout that he's had. Basically, my understanding of the Colin Kaepernick workout situation is that he called a workout. I believe he requested a workout. Scouts were all coming to go see him, and they had a date set up, and he decided to change it last minute and have it, have his workout at a high school based on the fact that he didn't want to sign some type of waiver that would give the NFL some type of leeway. I don't really quite understand it. I haven't read fully on it, but some type of leeway to do certain things that would cover their backside as opposed to just giving him the right to kind of run the workout his way, and he wanted to run it his way. So many people thought that, including Stephen A., that he didn't want to play football. Basically, he had his one opportunity to have basically a job interview, and he decided to handle it this way. He came up there with a Kunta Kinte shirt, and it was for someone like Stephen A., who believes in coming to work a certain way and in delivering your best and in respecting your employer. That didn't rub him the way that he would have liked to have been rubbed in this situation, more or less, without saying it any better. I think this is one of those situations where if you're a real brother and you go for the blackness of things over the money and over towing the company line, you don't have really much of a problem with what Colin Kaepernick did, because, like some have said, they didn't believe Colin Kaepernick was given a good opportunity to play in the NFL with this situation in the first place. I don't know what to believe in that regard, but I can definitely see why Colin Kaepernick wouldn't trust the NFL, but I'm still confused as to why he wants to come back to the NFL in the first place. Other than the fact he wants to play football, which I think he can do in the CFL and other leagues in other ways, particularly the CFL. I mean, it's not the NFL, but, it becomes a pride thing, I think, at this point for Colin Kaepernick. He wants to be able to be the way that he's been, be the symbol that he is, and play for the NFL. But what we all understand is that the NFL is an organization that doesn't want to be associated with what Colin Kaepernick stands for. They're being forced to be associated with what Colin Kaepernick stands for based on Colin Kaepernick's energy and the publicity surrounding the situation. But they really would much rather stay on the other side of this thing. That they don't, what my opinion is about the NFL. I've spoken on it many times, but from my perspective, they are more or less focused on, how do I say this without sounding ignorant? They want to hold on to the spirit of football and what it was from the beginning. They don't really want to be spokespeople for social justice issues. They don't want to align themselves with the black side of things, so to speak. They would much rather just continue their league the way they're going and have owners have supremacy over the players and they'll play their players handsomely and go about it that way. And in watching the NBA and seeing how the league is going in that regard, players on that side of the spectrum want their own voices heard. Sort of like the NBA, get a little more power, have a little more free agency opportunities and things of that nature. Be able to speak up on social justice issues and things of that nature. They want the NFL to be run like the NBA. And the NFL is not quite ready for that, for whatever reason. So that's the politically correct way of saying what I'm really thinking, which is they're a white supremacy organization. Okay, they're about their white supremacy. They go hard on their white supremacy, and it is what it is. Take whichever side of what I've said for what it's worth. That I feel that way. I really do, and I've felt that way for a while now. But it is what it is. Colin Kaepernick wants to play for them, and he wants to go to war with them at the same time. And I can't disagree with those who say you're provoking the gatekeeper. And you trying to get in business with some people, you don't provoke them, and you certainly don't force your opinions upon them, whether your opinions are right, quote unquote, or wrong. You don't want to do that. It's a slippery slope to begin with, because what if someone wants to come out and say, well, I believe in something totally different? Maybe that's not as morally as sane as police brutality, the issue of police brutality. But you'll have to respect it just the same because of how slippery the slope is. So you got to be careful about pressing your issues, specifically your social issues, on corporate organizations, because they may give you what you want, but then they'll run with it because they'll be forced to, and they'll take it in a different direction, and the spirit of what you were trying to do will ultimately end up giving a platform for people that will run with it in a different direction and do things that you don't respect at all, and it would have started with you. That's not the only reason why you don't do that. The other reason is because you want people to care about black people being shot in the streets. So what you don't do is take people who may or may not be racist, force feed them with your culture, with your beliefs, and what it is that you think is true, and then expect them to care. It doesn't work that way. You got to respect somebody's mind first. Show them why you should be respected, and then from there, over time, respect should come. I think force feeding my blackness onto a bunch of people who hate me to begin with is not going to make them love me or care about me being shot in the street by police officers. So that's just my opinion. You got to meet people halfway, even if they're not on the same spectrum with you, because you're trying to work with them. So disrespecting their mentality, whether they're a mentality that you can respect or not, it's not a means of getting that done, especially if you're asking them to pay you. So, Colin Kaepernick, for me, and I've said this before, I don't know what his intentions were when he started. I believe that he's now fully on board. I believe there's a lot of pressure from the African American community that he probably wasn't expecting from the beginning of this process. And I know how that pressure can be. I'm sure that Stephen A. Smith is feeling that pressure as well. And it is what it is. But, for me to question a man's blackness because he doesn't feel the way that I feel or doesn't see things the way that I do, I just think is a mistake. And to Stephen A. Smith, I would just say, man, I've felt this way for a long time in regards to you, and I may have said this in my video, with your perspective on money, you go too far with it. And what I mean by that is, ESPN has suspended you, crossed the line with you, done things that you don't agree with, underpaid you for years, had you basically carrying their entire corporation. You could have had your own platform and made 10 times the money that you made. And there's nothing that Tyler Perry is doing in movies that Stephen A. Smith couldn't do in sports. But you got to believe in yourself and believe in your ability to do things on your own so that you don't need to toe the company line. You don't have to do that. You may have felt you had to do that. And you may have been raised, as Max Kellerman may have said, by a family that was known for working hard and doing it the right way, so to speak. But look, when you're fighting against white supremacy, you can't tell them that you're fighting against white supremacy by taking a check and doing it the long way. That's essentially what you said on television about a day ago. It's like, if you're fighting for real, if you're truly about what's best for black people, you got to start with your morals, not with your wallets. You never, and I'm not talking about you specifically, but us, we are never going to have the money that they have. We're never going to get that kind of money because that money is hoarded from them. You got to appeal over time to people's sense of respect. And the only way you're going to do that is by standing on your morals and not allowing yourself to be bought. And that's my point of view. And I've always felt that way. That capitalist shit, that don't work for black people. It don't work because they own everything. Everything. You can get your money here and there. You can do it, but they got all the banks. They got all the property. They own all the insurance companies. So you got to appeal to your sense of respect, self-respect first. And it comes with believing in your brother, believing in the people next to you, letting the check go, telling the job that they're not as important as what you believe in truly, unless you just believe in bootlicking and being a coon, which is what people are calling you. And I don't believe that. Listening to you, studying how you've moved for so long, I never believed that you were a coon. I just thought that, with all due respect, you were a bit misguided. You felt that the long haul meant that you were supposed to collect a check from those who don't respect you, and that would make them respect you over time. No, it just means that they're going to continue to give you a little bit, and have you towing every fucking thing, which is what ESPN has been doing for this man, the entire time he's been there. Yeah, they continue to move you upwards. Why? Because you're the best thing they got 10 times over. And your people feel sold out in situations like this. That's why they've been calling him a coon for so long and all this, that, and the third. He mentioned how, his blackness shouldn't be questioned because he's in the streets. Man, that's ridiculous. That's absurd. That doesn't equate being black, being in the streets. Having your ear to the street, so to speak, does not make you black. What makes you black is the skin. What makes you black is your parents, your ancestors, where you come from. The man next to you, who, if you're black, it's not about what type of things you're doing in the damn streets. That's just, no, that shows how far away from us you actually are at this point. So what I say to a guy like Stephen A. Smith, or to Stephen A. Smith specifically is, please, while you're in a position where we all respect your work, it's hard to respect your point of view when you are continuing to buck black people at every turn. You know, this whole don't smoke weed thing, that's not a black issue. But you know, a lot of our people in our culture smoke weed. It doesn't mean that they can't get a job. If the rule is broken, then address the rule. Don't address the culture. Don't address the people in a scolding way. When you're not going to address the white folks who are doing all these different things, whatever they may be doing, if you're not going to address them with that same energy, don't address us this way. Nobody's ever liked that from you. And I've seen you do that for years and years and years in little different pockets of time. You know, scolding your own people is a means of saying we need to basically align ourselves with the white dude so we can get the money that no, you need to align yourself with your morals. Stand on your principles as a black man first. Because some of us got money, some of us don't. But our power doesn't come with just money. It comes from our respect, our ability to affect culture. That's where we're going to make money over time. That's how we're going to get respect over time, is continuing to embed these different places with our culture and with our morals, with our love, with our energy, our self-respect over time. It's not going to be through the money. It's not going to be through the money. We're not going to have people care about whether or not we're blown away in the middle of the streets or whether or not we get a fair shot in this system through no damn money. It's just not. It's never going to work that way, because we'll never be able to own everything. We have to stand on our morals. We have to align ourselves with different cultures. People who are outside get money coming in from outside, if we're going to do it that way. Because as long as you're working with white supremacy, you're going to empower white supremacy. It just is what it is. And if you think those people are going to turn around and say, I want to give you everything you deserve, you ain't been paying attention for the last 500 years. This is what it is. That's my point of view, man. And as far as this Colin Kaepernick situation, again, I don't really know where to start with Colin, because I don't really follow this situation as closely as many others do. I'm skeptical of Colin Kaepernick's initial intent in doing this. I know that he saw a good opportunity to keep himself in the league because he was a struggling quarterback. He was struggling. He was not playing well. And I think that he thought that if he made himself this symbol, it would keep him in the league, and it's done the opposite. But in turn, it's probably taken him on a journey that has been far greater than anything he ever thought, and made him something more special than anything he ever dreamed of becoming. And now I think he's kind of bought into it to go along with the pressure that comes from the community to be this symbol, to be this new Malcolm X / Martin Luther King character that he is. But I don't know if he's built that way, because I think his ego gets in the way of him actually being able to do what he needs to do to fully go all the way in. And that's what this T-shirt, this Kunta Kinte, changing the workout, this, that, and the third. That's where this comes from. It's a conflict within himself, to where he wants to be this great NFL football player, but he also wants to be this great black leader. And you can't be both. He wants both at the same time. That's what I think of Colin Kaepernick. That's what I truly think. I think he needs to step aside and pick a side. Pick a side, bro. Either you want to work for them or you don't. But stop telling people you want to work for them, and then when they give you your look, you saying, well, I don't trust these people, so I'm going to do it my way. Nah, bro. Yeah, maybe you don't trust these people and they've given you reason not to trust them, but you also recognize